All right, I jumped out two chips. I removed them from the socket. I put a jumper across it. So the minute digit would be seconds. Okay, that's why it's going so fast. That's actually the minute, right? You got minute, digit, tens, minutes, then 1 hour, and then the 10-hour slot. Well, anyway, as I'm building this thing, there's a lot of memories coming back. Besides the kid that got me to sell him a digital clock for 15 bucks at Radio Shack, and then he passed it off for his final test to get his degree. That bumps around. The other one was I had the same clock, the one I sold to the kid. It was in the rec room, and my aunt was down there. My mother was showing my aunt the work we had done on the rec room. So my aunt says, what time is it? So I point over to the clock, and she says, what's 11:12? I says, it's the time. What? 11:12 is the time. Then all of a sudden it went to 11:13. Why did it change? I said, it's a clock. And then my grandmother spoke up, and she says, it's a digital clock. I have one of them in my bedroom. Now she's going to read 11:13 or 11:14, and she chokes. She chokes. She goes into a senior moment. And then my mother, in order to make the two of them not look so stupid, says to him, oh, it's just something he built, and then she leads them off. That's the type of people that were around me as a kid. Build a digital clock, put it in a nice cabinet, and basically that's where it went, okay? So as I'm building this clock, that stuff keeps flooding back to me. You know, in RCA, after I showed you this clock here, I don't have to plug it in. This is a digital clock. It's got the Mostek 5250 chip in it. It's an alarm clock. I used this for 20-something years to get up in the morning. But in other words, we had a contest at RCA, and I got the chips for everybody. I ordered the chips. The engineer, Ken Recor, he says, can you order these chips? And I'm like, he goes, oh, I'll pay you for them or whatever. Anyway, I go home, and I write out this letter. I have my mother write out a check. We ship it off to Polypacks, and it comes back. Now, the Polypack, I looked it up online. I couldn't find the IC chip. But the chip would actually drive incandescent radio RCA pneumatrons directly. It wasn't multiplexed. Okay? Like this clock. This clock is not multiplex. It uses a bunch of IC chips. Now, when they multiplex it, it's usually a single IC for the clock, and each digit of the clock is being strobed. So you only have 7 digits times 4, so it'd be 28 pins that go from the clock to whatever, maybe even less. So 7 times 4. Yeah, 28 pins versus this thing has 7 pins. But anyway, it's easier, believe it or not, it's easier to do. I think there's the same amount of pins on these displays as when it's multiplexed. But anyway, when it's multiplexed, you can use LEDs. Now, when it's multiplexed, you can't use incandescents. You got to put a diode in each leg of the incandescent would be a filament, okay? And they start telling me the story, and I'm sitting there, and Ken starts telling me the story. They built a bunch of clocks with pneumatrons in it, and they put regular like Mostek 5250 in there, and they couldn't understand why all the digits were lit. They didn't understand multiplexing. They didn't understand that they had leakage in the wrong directions. It was hilarious, and I'm sitting there going, but that chip's multiplex, and it can work because it uses LED diodes, and the diodes in the LED itself act as a switching. And but anyway, that was another story. I'm sitting there going, I can't believe an engineer fell for that. He says after a few days, they figured it out, but they had made these clocks. And that's why when Ken had me get this chip, he started questioning me, and I explained to him, I said, yeah. I said, this chip can run both LEDs or incandescents. It has a separate output on the chip for each digit. And I ordered them, and we built clocks. And we had a contest who could make the smaller clock. Now, again, remember, I bought the chips through Polyplex. I got the check from my mother. Kenny helped them build the clocks. And then when I had my clock, they were sticking it to me. Oh, he doesn't have a clock. He didn't build a clock. But you have to picture this. I built so many clocks up to that point for other bosses. And then after I let them stick it to me a few times, I pulled that clock out that I showed you. And it's got an alarm on it and everything. And then, of course, they picked it apart. Oh, that alarm sounds like a submarine saying dive, dive, dive. I said, well, what does yours sound like? Well, they didn't put alarms on their clocks because Kenny didn't get up to that level to show them how to do that. It was pretty funny stuff. And I kept that clock just as a memento because I won the contest, hands down. The people that judged it were laughing at they had these giant shoebox size clocks with the wires hanging out and everything. And yeah, and in the meantime, you got a picture up on my bench is the Numatron clock. All right, and they were just stupid. These guys were just stupid. Like I said, if you're sitting there sticking it to a guy, he got you the chips, he got you the parts. You got help from an engineer, right? And then the guy that you're sticking it to has got a clock sitting on the bench with Numatrons on it, built months before. See, the whole idea of having Kenny build the clock was Kenny, or having them build clocks, was he had seen me build them. It's amazing how delusional some people are. But I just wanted to say I got the first digit done. It's all wired in there. And these memories are flooding back to me. You know, digital clock. Oh, the one guy, I had this one. I won't say he was a friend now. Now that he's gone out of my life, he bugged me to build him a clock. He just wanted the circuit board and the clock. He wanted to put it in a box and then tell his relatives, hey, look, I built the clock. Well, I gave him that. I gave him the transformer, the whole thing. And then called up a few months later, do you have any more buttons? I said, the buttons are built on the circuit board. Well, I removed them. I was going to mount them separately, but I lost them. I'm like, no. Well, I said, I said, go to Radio Shack and buy them. Well, a few more months go by. I lost the transformer. And then the third time he called, he didn't know where the pinouts were on anything. I gave him the schematic. You know, it's the people that surround you that make you who you are. And I never understood why a kid would graduate college and move to frickin' California to get away from his parents and his relatives. You start fresh. And you start letting people into your life that are going to give you back something other than a hard time. Okay? But like I said, my one aunt, what's 11:12? You ask for the clock and what time it is, and then she says 11:12. What does that mean? Then why did it change? I said, because it's a clock, and a minute went by. And then my grandmother, she's got a digital clock in her bedroom. She jumps in and then has a senior moment. Then my mother just, you know, let's get these two idiots out of the way. Oh, that's just something he put together. Off they went. And that's why I'm the way I am. You say, well, put that in the past. Well, it doesn't stop there. Recently, a neighbor had a smoke detector, and he knew he set it off with cooking an egg. He fell asleep. It set the alarm off. He couldn't get it to stop. So he changed the batteries, and that didn't work. So he said, can you come over? I said, yeah. So he didn't tell me the full story. And I go up there, and I take the batteries out, and he goes, how come it's still beeping? I said, it's wired in. What do you mean? It's wired into the AC. I said, it's an apartment building. So he didn't believe me. So I twisted the smoke detector. It came down, and there's the AC in it. I squeezed the two wires, and then unplugged it from the 110. And then when the guy that owns the building came up, the landlord, I told him, I said, yeah, I disconnected. I was very gentle with the connector. I said, it's a kitty. And he says, it is. I said, yeah, it's a Walter kitty. I said, my father worked for them years ago, way, way back when they were in Belleville. And he says, I got more of them at home. So next day he came up with a thing that went right in. I didn't break the connector or anything. But, you know, when I told that guy the thing was wired to 110, he's just staring at me. You know, that's what I get, okay? And it's because you have to hang around people that are smarter than you to get any real satisfaction in life, okay? They'll make you feel like an idiot once in a while, but it's nothing like being smarter and then dealing with idiots, okay? And I learned this too late in life. And I have dumped a lot of people in the neighborhood. I wave, I smile, but I keep walking because I don't want to hear they started now. You know, Fox has been lying to us. Oh my God. I gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. I think that's it. All right, that's it.